And thank you all for joining in this afternoon. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we rejoice and are glad. As we are all aware of this March, we are celebrating women, and today we have a special guest that we are going to celebrate with and engage in a discussion with. I will say the opening prayer and then hand over to Lillian. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Christ Jesus, we thank you for this afternoon. This is the afternoon that you have made. This is the day you have made. Thank you. It is Monday, another day to engage your creation, another day to reflect your glory. We welcome you to bless us in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you once again. You are welcome. Lillian, over to you. Lillian, are you yet able to talk?
I also can't hear anything.
I think we have lost, but we thank you for. Yes, you can. Okay, let me just put on the video later. Clear. So welcome. I have talked to us just a few minutes ago, I think 1 to 3 minutes ago. I found a very interesting article by The Guardian. And did you say you can hear me? Sorry, it's a bit noisy where I am right now. I hope I'm loud and clear. Someone let me know if I'm loud and clear.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Thank you. So a few minutes ago, before I came on the call, I was reading a very interesting article by The Guardian. And the title was Women Told to Forget About Babies If They Want to Scale Career Heights. I found that quite interesting, that women are losing a lot of money by staying home to have those maternity leaves and taking off years to have children compared to their counterparts who have decided not to get married and not to have children. And so it's like women have been given a choice to choose between career and family life. I would like to disagree, because this afternoon we are privileged to have someone who is excelling in all areas, who is balancing wifehood and motherhood, and coaching and mentoring and being a good Christian at that, but also excelling at her career. So she will tell us more about how women can be able to balance, just to refute the article that says women should forget about having babies if they are to scale career heights. So we are privileged to have Miss Clare Ruhweza join the call this afternoon. She's a professional with almost 20 years in handling building projects from pre-design to disposal. She's an author of a guide to real estate investment in Uganda. She's also a trained architect and project manager with a BAS to finance and procurement. She's Prince 2 and REIEA advanced certified. She has worked with Knight Frank, Institute Real Estate, Southgate Properties, Uganda Cooperative, Alliance Housing Project, and IITA. She currently serves as a team lead for 3 firms, that's Southgate Consulting, a design firm that handles design and project management for building projects. Also, Myrtle Concepts and Properties, a real estate company that provides bespoke advisory and supportive services in project feasibility, an agency property management and marketing of industrial, residential, and commercial property, Then I don't know whether that is Karuz, a sourcing company for gifts, interior design and procurement management for home and office projects. She also is part of the UHS Net stroke SSA on the Land and Housing Working Group and a member of Area Uganda, OAREA Uganda. She's an SFFG coach. As you have heard from her bio, she's really scaling the career heights, but also she's a mother, I know, to a wonderful person, and they're doing so well in that area, mentoring young people in the area of marriage. She's a wonderful mother, as she will tell us. And so we want Miss Clare to tell us if it's true, as they are advising women out there, that they should forget about having babies if they are to scale their career heights. She's going to take us through her career journey on how she has managed to balance wifehood, motherhood, and career, and how she has also managed to not only break but to shatter the glass ceiling by being able to balance and also excel in that area. She'll tell us about the obstacles she has found along as she's tried to scale these heights, and also how she would help a young person starting as a first step of their career, how she's managed to navigate through all the barriers and be able to excel in all that she is doing. Allow me welcome Miss Clare Ruhweza this afternoon, so we can give her plenty of time, as we're asking so much from her in so short a time. So Miss Clare Ruhweza, you're welcome. We are all ears, and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, Lillian and Dr. Ernest. It's a privilege to always have a chance to share with different people. Greetings to my husband, Dr. Ruhweza, who is on the call, my chief supporter. I honor you, my dear husband. Yes, I would not be here being talked about as if I'm some special person without you, and he knows it, yeah. So it's interesting that you read that article, because I've come across so many of those, and I think my answer to that article is both yes and no. For many women, they don't get the opportunity that I have had, the support that I have had, that allows them to be able to have both. And the truth is, even with so much support, it is still a challenge. But I am here as testament to the fact that with God's help, you can actually be a number of things, which is wife, mother, daughter, sister, but also be a career woman, be involved in church, be involved in different social spaces, as well as thrive in business. What's the story of my life? Like Lillian explained, I left Makerere having graduated as an architect. Hello?
You can continue, please. I think someone had just unmuted by mistake. You can continue.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying my background is I left Makerere in 2002, having completed my bachelor's degree in architecture. And by the 5th year of architecture, I had realized that my expectations of being able to come out of School of Architecture and immediately start building beautiful things was not going to be possible, because the reality of many of these professions is that you go and spend a couple of years seated at someone's feet drafting. And that did not excite me, because I went into architecture wanting to do the practical side of things, you know, start building houses, start building, you know, things. And so, because I wanted to work with buildings immediately, I decided to go into real estate, and specifically to go into property management. And Knight Frank gave me the opportunity, and I worked with them from 2002 until about 2007. And in that time, I really had a chance to work up to by the time I left Knight Frank, I was head of their property management department. And in 2003, Daniel and I got married. So you can see by the time I became head of department, I was already 4 years into my marriage and 2 kids already on the way. And when I left Knight Frank, I went on to work with several other companies and firms. But not only did I continue working, I also went back to school. And having studied architecture, I didn't want to go back and do architecture as a master's or even to continue with training along the architectural line, because I personally felt like the skilling I had got at the first degree, which is true for many professional courses, was adequate enough to give me what I needed to practice. In fact, most of the senior architects, they only have their degree. And that is also true for many doctors. There are very few who go on to masters. But I wanted to study, and working at Knight Frank, I found that my work didn't just include the technical aspects, which was on the maintenance side of buildings, but I was handling financials, I was handling procurement, I was handling all sorts of things, engaging with clients. And so I started doing a multitude of courses. I got training in finance so that I could understand what accountants do. So I went to UMI and did a postgrad in financial management and learned about taxation, audit, financial accounting, management accounting, and so on and so forth. I didn't stop there because we were handling projects. I went back and did, still at UMI, a postgraduate in project planning and management. And that allowed me to transition into the NGO world. So leaving Knight Frank, I went to work with a financial institution, and then I ended up at Uganda Cooperative Alliance, where I was now in charge of a project. So I built that project up from scratch. We were helping people to understand the whole concept of housing cooperatives. And I was there for 3.5 years. By the time I left, housing cooperatives in Uganda we had at least managed to get 8 groups, and they were on their way to forming what is called a union. Today, the union is very much active. I think the housing cooperatives have grown to maybe about 15 or 20. Still sort of loosely in touch with them. So I then continue, get training in procurement, get training in real estate, and all sorts of other courses. Why? Because I've always been the kind of person who did not feel like I fitted in one box. But the beauty about doing all those things is that it helped me now move into the level of management with ease, because I could sit at a table as a general manager and talk about issues of financial accounts. I could understand when audited accounts would be brought. Actually, when I was in Knight Frank, I was the one doing the contracts and handling a lot of their legal work until I think now they even have an in-house lawyer. So I was the one interfacing with the lawyers. So that experience of not just confining myself into the box of architecture helped me grow and expand and be relevant in so many spaces that I've been able to lead 3 different teams with ease, because when it comes to legal issues, I have at least some background and understanding. When it comes to financial issues, I understand very well, and I talk to accountants with ease. When it comes to procurement, it's so interesting that at some point my husband had to teach a course on procurement, and he had not been exposed to the procurement law, but I helped him put together some of the information, and he was able to go and teach procurement from what I had also learned. So right now, where have I reached? Leading a team, like I said, like Lillian explained, Southgate Consulting is a design and build, a design and project management firm. And I'm leading a team that has architects, engineers, surveyors, as well as other professionals that help on the construction side. I'm also leading a team that is, we have a real estate company called Myrtle Concepts that just started at the end of 2020. And here we do all sorts of real estate work. Real estate is not buying land and subdividing it, in case you're one of those people who think that that is brokerage, which is just one aspect of real estate work. What do? We manage people's properties. We do a lot of real estate advisory work. We appraise projects and help people know whether it is worth investing, because real estate projects are very expensive projects. They're probably the most expensive projects, expensive investments anybody will invest in. On the other end, I also have a team of ladies. We do interior design work. We do procurement for furniture and that kind of thing. We don't do the furniture ourselves. We find the right people. We also do a bit of fit out work. And this is on the back of my having served as a country lead for a French firm, as well as my experience working with Knight Frank, where we used to work with clients to do fit outs. What is on my plate currently? I'm an independent consultant. I consult privately for some people. That is anything to do with the construction sector, but mainly on the real estate side. I also serve in those roles. That's where every day, I sit in an office with and follow up on 3 different teams. What else do? I do talks, I do coaching, I do mentorship programs with my husband, not in a structured manner. When people invite us, we do that. I also lead in the church space. My husband and I are zonal leaders in Worship Harvest Ministries, and we oversee about 200 people, leading with about 10 other leaders who are directly with us. I also am a mother, a wife of 19 years this year, and a mother to 4 children. My eldest is now 16, and my youngest is 11. So in a nutshell, that is me. Over to you, Lillian.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Claire. As you are talking, and thinking about asking you to give us a recipe for being a successful career woman. You seem far above the average woman that I'm sure some listeners might be getting scared. Oh my God, how do we get to achieve all that in just 19 years as you have marriage and children and career? So maybe just to put us at ease so we can really identify with you, what have been some of the, as you're navigating through all this marriage, motherhood, career, further studies, what have been your biggest, let's start with the challenges so we can identify with you, as some might be at those low ends where they're trying to juggle everything, but things are just not adding up. You want to be a wife, you want to be a mother, you want to go back for further studies, you want to advance in your career, and things are just not adding up. But from your story, it seemed like you've had a smooth transition from this one to the other. Have you had any challenges that we can identify with just to put us at ease? Thank you.
If I told you, right, I didn't mention that I'm in school. I'm pursuing a master's, and I'm also doing a business course. So the plate is always full. And my husband will tell you, I'm not someone who will sit there and have nothing to do. It is just who I am, I think, by nature and character. But that said, what are the challenges I've faced? It is true, you can't do everything simultaneously. And so sometimes the balls fall through, but I always encourage the women I talk to, The thing that you need to learn is to create a system around you that can support you. How do I manage as a wife? My husband maybe is the one who will tell you. But we have such a great friendship, my husband and I. We don't, and so we enjoy whatever time we have together. Sometimes during the week I have to travel and go to sites, which is not as bad now, by the way, because there was a time when for about 4.5 years, I was working in Tanzania and he was here with the children. So my husband is the one who was looking after the kids while I was busy pursuing a career out of the country. It meant I would come home once every 3 months for about 2 to 3 weeks at a go. So what are the challenges? Sometimes you have to rely on other people to handle certain things. But even when I would do that, for instance, when I was away, I tried to make sure that I talked to Daniel every single day. We had a ritual where on most mornings, we would call each other. One of us would call, put the phone on, and we would just have a morning conversation the way we would have it at home. So what are you doing today? Where are you going to be? In spite of my being away, Daniel knew where I was on the go. When I would be taking flights, because the kind of job I had, I was flying all the time. I would be in one country, and that's why he had to be here. So he would know, today Claire is flying to Malawi. Today Claire has arrived in Lusaka. For this week, she's in Mozambique. For here, she's coming back next week. And sometimes we would schedule so that while I'm arriving somewhere, he's flying somewhere, we would meet in the airport. I think we met in Nairobi 3 times and just had a moment there, you can imagine. So of course there's a strain, of course, on the marriage, but are you willing to make those sacrifices for each other? It was a season. Earlier, prior to that, we had a challenge when Daniel had to be away and I was with the kids. For again 4 years, he was pursuing a PhD. It is seasons in life and being able to recognize that you're in a season. So what did we do in those seasons, which I would think would be the hardest for people to probably understand and comprehend, because you are alone, managing career and whatever. Let me tell you, when Dan was away doing his PhD, I was working full-time in a job that required me to travel, pregnant with 3 kids under 7. But by the grace of God, I had family around. So sometimes I would bundle up the kids, take them to my sister, and then travel and come back. I had my brother living with me at home. I had friends, a crowd of friends who would sometimes step in. I remember there's a time Daniel had to travel back because his father had died, and a couple paid his ticket. You know what it is to pay an emergency ticket from the UK? So we've surrounded ourselves with always, Daniel and I said, the most important resource we have, investment we have, is people, not money. The way I love real estate, it is people. So people are the ones who have helped me scale the challenges. Either it is my parents, or it is my siblings, or it is some friends, or it is, colleagues even at work. There's a time I was very unwell and yet I had to travel to Nairobi. I had to rely on work colleagues to be able to help me. I told them I'm sick, but I have to attend this meeting in Nairobi. Because sometimes in these things, you can't be away. It was a regional meeting. I had to represent the sector in that particular whatever, so I could not be there. So I went very sick against the doctor's wishes. But my colleagues, I told them, please make sure every morning you check on me, just in case, it was that bad. So do we have challenges? Yes, we do. How do we cope? By having a system around us. We had a hospital here in Kisasi where we live. The doctors knew that we were people who used to move. So if a child was sick, the maid at home knew that they had to take the child. My brother would be there. I have lived with my sisters before and cousins, so they would step in. So it is not all rosy as it appears, Lillian. No. There are times I've been on the phone with the doctor while I'm in Nairobi trying to make sure my child is treated. And so that is what I would say the challenge is. Studying, I found it so much harder. I was always an A student, but I've had to be okay with not getting A's. Dan knows when I was doing my postgrad, I wanted a first class, not, I wasn't those people who studied with, but now where I have reached, if I want to get the knowledge, I am okay with even getting average now. Sometimes I have had to tell myself, progress, not perfection, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to do. So some people, they are frustrated and challenged because they want to do something perfectly. That's the only time I've had to resign that one. So I'm doing those courses and I'm okay with delivering whatever I can. So it is okay. It is okay sometimes. So those are the challenges. Yesterday, at about 3:40 p.m., I was headed somewhere for a concert I really wanted to attend with my family. Then one of my classmates sent me a message and said, Claire, have you finished this coursework? And the deadline was yesterday. I had to forget the concert and sit at home and work till 8 p.m. to finish the coursework because it was an essay question. So that is those are the challenges. You have to forego sometimes family time. You have to forego some of the things you want. So the balance is there. What do you sacrifice and who is supporting you to make the necessary sacrifices? Otherwise, it is not true. I can't be in 10 places at the same time. I've learned to delegate some of the tasks. I've learned to raise up sons and daughters who can step into my shoes in some cases. Yeah, but that is the reality. Lillian, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, Claire. Sorry, the network today is a little jumpy, but I'm glad you can hear each other. We are still grateful. We'll continue saying it over and over for you, taking off time to help today's Zoom, and I'm one of those who are taking notes. And I'm looking at someone who is a fresh graduate. They're at the bottom of the ladder, and they are looking at and they are saying, Miss Rose, I want to come up to where you are, but how do I navigate my way through all these things to get to the top? I don't know that will be repetition, but how would you help a fresh graduate, given your 19 years of experience in marriage and all these experiences, rich experiences, I should say. Even the rough ends, we don't see them as rough. They seem to have been smoothened out somehow. So how would you help a young lady at the bottom of the ladder just starting out? They want to navigate and get to the top to where you are. How should I say, what tricks would you give them, or techniques or highlights? How would you help a young lady navigate from the bottom to the top where they want to go? Okay. Some of the things that have really worked for you.
The first thing I would say is be hungry. Be hungry all the time for knowledge. Put yourself in spaces where you can grow. That means be in environments where people will be talking about things that will help you know what is on the horizon. That is one. Two, be the person who does more than everybody else in the room. If you're in a place of work, do over and above what everyone else. Don't settle for doing just enough. No, because we've been cultured to do that. But if you're going to distinguish yourself in any career, you must be willing to do over and above what everyone else requires of you. Then be dependable and reliable, because the kind of person you're creating at that level is the kind who will be picked out. You have to distinguish yourself by hard work. You have to distinguish yourself by knowledge. You have to distinguish yourself by the people that you surround yourself. Who are the people who are speaking into your life? That's why they tell us, get mentors and coaches. Mentors are the people we look up to and we want to be like. I had an auntie of mine when I was young who was working for the World Bank, who went through Gayaza High School. That lady doesn't even know probably today that she inspired me to go to Gayaza. And to think about working in spaces like the World Bank. And God answered my prayer. By the way, I reached the World Bank, but by then I wasn't really that interested. But the thing is, where do you expose yourself? And these are things that are free. There are people who will pour into your life. You're on a call like this, you will get information about something. Then be the kind of person who doesn't set, you must be in a learning environment constantly. Every year, I put myself in a space where I'm learning. There's no year where I'm not doing a course of some sort. Because that's the only way you put yourself, you become better. So, and there are free courses, there are things that you can do at church, volunteer. Then, like I said before, make friends, connect with people. Even when you're shaking. I remember when I was going for that job I was based in Dar es Salaam, but traveling in 5 countries. The first thing my husband told me, because he knows I'm what they call an ambivert. I can be an introvert and an extrovert. I'm just right there in the middle. So when I don't know people, I'll stay away from them. So my husband knew that, and he said, you are not going to survive in these outside countries, hiding yourself. So he told me, get out of your way. Actually, even being able to talk to you like this, it is his pushing. Many times he'll say, Claire, why don't you talk to people? And I'll say, what's there about my story to share? I'm just a normal average person. Sometimes you don't, because you don't put yourself out there, you don't get opportunities. So be the person who networks, be in church, be in, all those places, Rotary, Rotaract, like put yourself in a social circle that exposes you. That is the advice I would give the young person. Be hardworking over and above what is required of you. Yesterday, I listened to a business garage talk, and the guy went to MOOPS, but he used to walk from Kawempe. Even me, Claire, who feels a ninja, was like, hey, walked Kawempe from Kawempe 6 months to do a course, and he would be the first in class, while people who were nearby there were late. How hungry are you for the things you want? The other thing is, when you get the opportunity to have, your children, your husband, when you have the moments you have, use them well. I keep telling myself, some people think I do a lot. Then I remind myself, Donald Trump has 24 hours. Do you know that Donald Trump runs 500 businesses? He may not be very good on the marriage side and what, I don't know. I don't know his details. What about, if we come back here, our President Museveni, who runs the whole country? He has 24 hours like me, but he must know what is happening. And by that, don't be fooled. That president of ours, he knows things. By the time you walk to meet him, 3/4 of that time, he will already know something about you, and he will have taken the time to read. So be hungry for knowledge, be hardworking, do more than what is required of you. That means even learning things that other people don't know, because the world right now, guess what, is not looking for people who are structured. Even if you are a lawyer by profession or a doctor by profession, the world expects you to do more than that. So if you're young at this age, start to evolve, be agile. That's what they're talking about in projects. How agile are you? How flexible are you? Can you do more than what is, how are you going to distinguish yourself from the crowd? I don't know if that helps, but that is what I have tried to do, and that's what has helped. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Wow, it sure does help. I said, I'm here taking notes. So let's go to the chat and see what's there. Thank you for the inspiring story, really inspiring. And Brenda says, Grace says, imagine all those things she studied from this to that. Yeah, and of course, Dr. Annie started us off by saying very, very inspirational story. We have a question here from Brenda K. How have you managed to balance this growth with societal expectation of you as a wife and a mother? I know you had hinted on that, but you could still give us more onto that. And there's a compliment here that you're really gifted, and we agree you are really exceptional and gifted above the ordinary Ugandan women that we are. But thank you for sharing genuinely. We are really taking notes and getting out of our comfort zones. So progress is not perfection. Wow, thank you for keeping on progressing. And one says, people are the biggest resource, and you have managed to harness that resource. So they've been helpful to even the times you needed people and you're out of the country. At least there was someone to stand in the gap. And Frida says, so inspiring. Thank you for sharing. So we have here Dr. Ruhweza being challenged by Grace and Grace. There's Grace Walker and Grace Magara. That behind a strong woman, there's a strong man. And so we are going to ask Dr. Ruhweza. Last Monday, we did recognize our husbands, because you cannot talk about your strength as a married person without acknowledging that the person who has really made you the person you are is the husband. And so when we celebrate women these days, we celebrate the men as well. So as we celebrate Mrs. Ruhweza, we celebrate Dr. Ruhweza as well. So maybe Claire can respond to this, and then we'll give a few minutes to Dr. Ruhweza really to help the men on the chat know how they can sharpen. They say iron sharpens iron. Yes, how they can sharpen their wives to have the cutting edge. We shall get to Dr. Ruhweza, but before then, let's get back to Mrs. Ruhweza to respond to some of these. I think that's just one question or two. And then Dr. Ruhweza will help the men on the chat who are listening in to know how they can sharpen their wives to have the cutting edge.
Thank you, all of you, for those very kind words and compliments. First of all, I want to tell everyone here, there is nothing exceptional about me. We all have capacity to do even more. The thing is, how is your mind structured? It's a mind thing, by the way. What you believe you can do, you can do. What you don't believe you can do, you can't do. But also, I want you to know that many times it's because of the environment that we have been we've been exposed to. For me, I grew up with a father who used to tell me, Claire, that one is that is a walkover. My father never listened or treated me like I was a girl, I was weak. He believed I could do absolutely anything. If I told him I want to go to the moon, he would say, anyway, I'm not surprised. And he encouraged me. So it is the people who you surround yourselves and the environments you put yourself in that are going to determine how you're going to perform. I tell you, that is the secret. There is no one God has created who has only one gift. He has given us a multitude of, the way you see the fingers on my hand, everyone is capable. But who is helping you harness the greatness that is within you is the biggest question. There are people you think cannot do things until they've been given an opportunity, the right training, and been given a chance at something. Some of you here don't know that you may be great pianists, but nobody exposed you to piano. We may be here with world talented athletes, but maybe for many of you, no one pushed you. That is the truth. The truth is when you haven't been exposed, you don't know how gifted you are. For some of us, it is only because we've been privileged to be in places and with people who have said, you can do this, you can do this. I grew up around women who are very entrepreneurial. So for me, in fact, by their standard, I'm not even really there. Because the kind of things my mom and her sisters and my grandmothers did, I feel like there's a lot more I can do. I don't know if that helps you understand. Yes, who is helping you harness the greatness in you? How do I balance? I think I have said that already. It's a network of people around. Where in every space there are things that and you have to be determined, you have to be intentional. It would have been very easy for me to say, I can't be here on this call because I have so much to do. But I have determined that when people ask me to talk, I am going to make every effort to be there. If I can't be there that day, I'm going to reschedule. Why? Because I believe God requires of us to pour into other people's lives. There may be just one person on this call who by hearing me talk will go and change their life and say, I am tired, even me, I am fed up. The other thing that has encouraged me is, I used to think that my story had no validity because I wasn't doing any, there was nothing big about me. That's what I thought. And I've said that, and my husband would say, but why would you say that? And I said, I don't see. I'm not a Mandela, I'm not an MP, I'm not, until one day I sat under someone's talking, you know, and they said everybody has an audience. Everybody has an audience. There are people who will be inspired by my story and my journey. Even for you, at whatever level you are. Because there's someone who wants to be able to relate at that level. If Obama was on this talk, he may talk and we walk away and say, that is Obama. Because you feel like they are way out of your league. If you sit among presidents, you feel like they are beyond you. But for me, there's an audience who is at the level where I am, who will be inspired and may even go on and shoot above where I am. And they might become the next president, who knows? So that is the reason why I'm in a space like this. So don't ever undermine yourself. Because guess what? If you have children, you're going to carry the same energy around them. You're going to transfer the same kind of spirit. So you must start to put yourself in spaces where you are able to dream beyond what your eyes can see, be able to see the things that other people have not yet seen, and start to walk that journey. Push yourself a little bit more, just a little, 30 minutes of reading a day. Find the ways that can make you, you know, explore the sides of you that you did not know possible. And try things out, even if you fail. Most of these entrepreneurs you see, these big people we see, you need to look for a book called Outliers if you've never read it, and hear the stories of people. The Bill Gates we see and we think they landed there. There's a saying I like, the person who is at the top of the mountain did not fall there by accident. Dr. Ruhweza, you're supposed to speak after me.
Yes. I'm still laughing at the person who didn't fall on top of the mountain. Thank you. And there's a time I listened to you speaking and you said, do it afraid. So I got that day. So Lillian, do it afraid. This has been so insightful, even as we raise our daughters. You said your father always pushed you and pushed you. I remember a time you sharing that you used to watch Football Made in Germany. Was it that one? Football Made in Germany, when your other sisters didn't want to, but because you wanted space with him, and watching football was when he was not being competed for by your other sisters. So I like that as well. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ruhweza. I have so far taken 3 pages. I think now they are coming to 4, and I'll come back and give you a testimony. Yes, we want to hear from Dr. Ruhweza. For the gents here, for the husbands here, for us raising boys here, how do we manage to raise girls and daughters and wives and women who have the cutting edge, like Mrs. Ruhweza is having the cutting edge? I hope we have Dr. Ruhweza still on the call. I see him. Dr. Ruhweza, please.
I am on the call, but I'm also taking notes, please. I don't have anything useful to add. Anyway, just to appreciate Claire for being able to give us some of her time. I know she is quite busy, and thank all of you for coming onto the call. It's just amazing how the simple things we decide to do can change so much just when we allow to do those simple things. For me, my journey with Claire has been a journey of maturity. For us as men, we tend to be inward looking, selfish, and living with her, I've learned to be giving, because Claire is such a giver, and that's something she hasn't probably talked about. She has taught me to give. You know, when you buy stuff for your wife and instead she's giving them out to other people. In the beginning, you are a bit annoyed, then you realize, you know what? The best way to give other people is when you buy the best for your wife, knowing she's going to give them out, and you will get the credit for it. So I learned that. But in this course that we did together, School of Leadership, we are required to write blogs. Now, Claire, as she said, she would blog just to pass the assignment, and she would not want to share her blogs with anybody. Now, like I normally do, like I have been doing right now as she was talking, I've been sharing the link all over the place. One time she wrote a blog. I think it was called When You Find the Girl. She was writing to her son, who, of course, our son is still very young, but the blog was basically about what you need to look out for as a young man in a girl. And so I think the link is somewhere on her blog called Kaleidoscope. So when I saw this blog piece and I was saying her to share, she was like, no, I don't want to share. You know, the usual thing. Okay, not the usual, some of you don't know her, but yeah, she doesn't want to put herself out there. So I picked this link and I started sharing it around the networks that I have. So it got to a boy, a student during COVID lockdown who is in Lumumba. And he said, look, we want to organize some relationship talks and we'd like to invite your wife to come and speak to us. So for almost 2 months or so, we had these conversations on relationships, because this Lumumba boy, I was going to say Lumumba Oye, but really I'm a Livingstone man. This Lumumba boy then connected with Loombox Fellowship, and then it spread into
Loombox Oye.
Quiet. So he shared it with the Loombox Fellowship, and indeed, this thing took on what do you call it, legs of their own, you know, and they started having conversations on relationships. So for about 2 months, just out of one blog piece, you know, quite a number of people's decisions, especially young people's decisions, especially regarding relationships and life skills, I am very sure were affected. So just to talk about learnability, I don't know what the better word there is, the ability to allow to learn, allow to be stretched, that Claire has been talking about, to allow to be inconvenienced, to Wama Pauline Mutumba Afrostone Oye. Yeah, just to allow to be used in whatever sphere that is necessary is what I want to appreciate Claire for. Yeah, I don't know whether that is what Lillian wanted me to talk about. It hasn't been rosy, like I've said. I personally have moved from being a man who looks inwardly, having been raised as my mother had many girls. So I come in as a boy, and so I used to take certain things for granted. But getting into a marriage then teaches you, you know, to stop being selfish, to stop being inward looking, and then maybe just having that friendship with your wife is a great thing for me. I don't know whether that is what Lillian wanted me to speak to, but I just wanted to chip in in that regard. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ruhweza. Thank you, Mrs. Ruhweza. We could not be cheated not to hear from the both of you. And as the Ruhwezas have emphatically stated, put yourself out there. Use every avenue. I use my status because I know the newspaper won't come for my story, the TV won't come for my story, the radio won't, even social media. So I use my status to put out my story, to celebrate myself, to celebrate my small achievements. So look, if the media won't come looking for you, go looking for them. Get yourself, put your story out there, celebrate yourself, whichever way, whichever avenue you can get. And it's from these small things of putting yourself out there that other connections come. I'd like to ask our ladies on the call who would like to ask me, Mrs. Ruhweza, questions. We've had a very lively discussion this afternoon. We haven't had one this level in a long time. With questions or comments, any input that you have, Who is unmuting to share? I see Dr. Mpere has unmuted. I don't know whether it is deliberate. Can we hear from, please?
Deliberate indeed.
Oh, thank you. Let's hear from you then.
I have found it extremely interesting and fascinating to hear about Mrs. Ruhweza's story. But I don't think I would agree with her that we should try to emulate her, because our success in life depends very much on the talents we have. If you are multi-talented like Mrs. Ruhweza, please go out and use your talents. But some of us are unique talented. We are talented in one aspect. You may be a musician and you can't do anything that is not musical. You may be a scientist, like Albert, sorry, I forgot his name. He concentrated on one thing, the structure of the universe, and so on and so forth. So I think young people should identify their talents early in life and then focus on those. Your single talent can make you a successful talent. If you are multi-talented, you can also be successful. So I think the important thing is to identify your talent and focus on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mpere. I don't know if we have a person who wants to unmute and share. We've really had a very lively discussion, thanks to the Ruhwezas. I thank you for giving us your time and energy. Let's see what I haven't read from the chat.
Lillian,
again,
I
thank you,
just wanted to comment on what Dr. Mpere has said. Doctor, first of all, thank you for your comment. I appreciate what you said. And whereas it's true that some people are gifted in one very specific area, the truth of the matter is, no matter how talented you are, even if you're the next Einstein, you'll need to understand how to manage your money. You'll need to understand certain things about administration. You'll need to understand how to be a husband or wife. And that's what I'm talking about, that you can't be only in one area. It is not necessarily true also that the people who end up focusing in one area have only one talent. The truth is we are all multi-skilled. We just don't realize it. And that's why we can be parents and we do career and we do what. I also think that for all of us, we need training on how to handle money. We need training on how to communicate. We need to learn how to manage people. We need to learn how to, all these skills are needed, whether you're pursuing a very clear, you're a surgeon, a neurosurgeon like my daughter wants to be, or whether you're going to run many businesses. What I'm not talking about is running multiple businesses. I'm talking about the level of skilling you have, such that when you're in any environment, you're able to manage. Because even if you're going to start up a hospital as a doctor, guess what? You're going to interface with so many different professions. So that is what I'm alluding to, that you must put yourself in an environment where you're learning constantly, because the world is changing. My mother, when WhatsApp came, refused to get onto WhatsApp initially. She was like, she didn't want to handle things of young children. She's on WhatsApp now. The world will push you until you get to where you need to be. Otherwise, if you don't evolve with the way the world is, you can find yourself as a Nokia. doing everything well, following the right path, and suddenly you're irrelevant. And for me, that is what I want young people to know. You can wake up one day and the thing you are pursuing is no longer relevant. What do you do? What do you do?
Can I respond to that?
Yes, please. Yes, doctor.
Yes, I was wondering whether Mrs. Ruhweza is right to say that people don't have only one talent. Let me ask you, for example, how many talents is Socrates, the philosopher? How many talents did he have? Nothing. He was a poor man, but he was talented to question. He was talented in seeking knowledge. That is what he's famous for. The scientist I was talking about, I was thinking of was Albert Einstein, the famous physicist. What is he famous for? Except to think deeply into the structure of the universe. What is Tiger for? The famous the famous player of golf. Nothing, but play golf. So you can be
Doctor,
successful.
we are losing you. I don't know whether it's a network.
Sorry, but there is a problem with the network. Let me stop there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor. We are trying to understand your talent, abilities, and I think, yes, please.
Lillian, this is Daniel. I do appreciate
Yes.
what Dr. Mpere is saying. Let me give an example of what happened this morning, at least Ugandan time. This morning at the Oscars, there's an actor called Will Smith that you could read about. Will Smith is a prolific actor. He's just won an Oscar for having played the part of the father to Serena Williams and her sister Venus Williams. He won the best actor at the Oscars this morning, Ugandan time, which is probably US time in the night. Now, just before he won the Oscars, the host of the show called Chris Rock had just cracked a joke on Will Smith's wife because of the fact that she's cutting her hair short. And the reason she has cut her hair bald is because she's suffering from a disease called alopecia, something like that, where you lose hair, all right? So Will Smith, when Chris Rock made this comment, Will Smith walked onto the podium and slapped Chris Rock across the face. In essence, the whole world watching, he was unable to control what I would call his emotional intelligence, you know? Now that single act has taken away from the fact that he's won this Oscar, has taken away from the fact that he's such an amazing actor, has taken away from so many things. I think what Claire is trying to say is that the way we are today in the world, however good one might be in something. Yes, alopecia. Thank you very much, Dr. Isaac Okulo. However good we may be in one thing, we also need those other trainings. There used to be a musician called MC Hammer. MC Hammer was such a brilliant musician and dancer. He had started a new way of dancing you know, and rap and so on. But he ran broke because he had failed to maintain or to handle his finances. This man testifies that he had even constructed a waterfall in his sitting room because of the amount of money that he had. But he failed to control his finances and he ran broke. I think the point that Clare is saying is trying to say that even with the talents God has given us, we need to ensure that those supporting skill sets come in handy. Socrates was such an amazing philosopher, but he committed suicide. Now, that shows you that in spite of strongly believing in his views, maybe there was something lacking in who he was as an individual that sent him to commit suicide. And so we need those small skills, emotional intelligence, learning finances, learning to control X, Y, and Z, always putting ourselves in learning environments, associating with people in order to be the kind of persons that we want. For example, I'm a Rotarian because I know there are things I cannot do alone, even when I want to do them. I love philanthropy, but I don't have the zillions of trillions of dollars to be able to do what, for example, Rotarians together are able to do. Rotarians together can fight polio, but I can't fight polio on my own. So when I join with others of like mind, or when I ride on the back of elephants, I'm able to do, you know, that. So I think that is what Clare is saying, that you might be multi-talented or you might have one single talent, but in spite of all that, you still need to pick up on these other life skills to make you the holistic individual that you want to be. I think that would be my addition to the conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ruhweza, and I'm very sure that's what she has meant. My mother has time and again told me to go and do a course in administrative law. And I also had a friend I was working with who told me to do a short course in and learn about the legal, financial, procurement, human resource, all these things, because they say they see a leader in me, but you can't be a leader who is not knowledgeable and skilled in all these other things. A leader must know how finances move, must know how to handle people, must have emotional intelligence. So all these things are needed, even if you're working one job. Thank you very much. We're coming to the end. I would like to invite Mrs. Ruhweza to give us her concluding remarks before I hand over to Dr. Katosije. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. and Mrs. Ruhweza.
So I just want to thank you all, first of all, for being here and giving me the opportunity to share a bit of my journey. My prayer for you is that the way the parable of the talents was taught, that you go out there and not just find one talent and bury it, but that you be like the one who had 5 and the one who had 10, and that you put them to use and come back with a harvest. I want to thank you for giving me audience. I just want to send greetings to Ernest's mom, who was my teacher in Gayaza High School. Those are the people who shaped us from the start. Thank you very much. Yeah, and thank you, Lillian.
Thank you very much, Claire. Claire, we really are grateful you've taken off your time amidst your very busy schedule to give us. I've taken notes, 4 pages, they're here. I wish I could show them to you. I've been taking notes, and some of the things I think people have already been telling me, but some have been lazy to go and do those extra 3-4 courses I must do to be a good leader that they see, leader they see in me. They think I'm being limited by not getting knowledge and skills in all these other areas, and thank God you spoke to us about these things today. I see one more hand before I hand over to Ernest. I see Patience's hand. In 1 minute, can you please give us your question or contribution, and then I'll hand back to our host. Patience. Patience's hand was up by
I was
mistake. Let me
sorry.
hand over Mrs. Ruhweza. Or was the hand up in error?
No, it was up intended, but you hadn't given me time.
Okay, yes, you can share in a minute. We want to give you
I
a
just
chance.
wanted to add on what Doctor, I don't remember the name. Let me try to get the name. The one who was saying that you can have one thing and concentrate on it. And I was just saying that maybe the word talent is the one that had brought in the confusion. But if I had understood Claire very well, I think what she meant is you can have that one talent, okay, that you're very good at, but it is okay to push yourself to do several other things. Personally, I'm a lawyer, but that can't stop me from doing a business. That can't stop me from going to take another different course in a different thing and learn about a different thing, just to push yourself and be better at different things. And she is right, because looking at my life, I've really seen that people who are doing different things besides the talents that they have are really making it and are doing good, because life is very uncertain. You can't be sure. That's why we see even the musicians, people who are good with music, they still go ahead and do farming. It's not that they are talented in farming, but you don't do one thing. You're supposed to have several things that you do to push you to have several sources of income. That's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad we didn't miss that. Thank you. Mrs. Ruhweza, once again, thank you very much. Everyone who's on the call, thank you very much. I'm handing over back to our host, Dr. Katresije, to give us a conclusion to today.
Oh, I thought you had asked Claire to give parting shots.
Claire gave parting shots and thanked you all very much.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, it is well. I now recall that Patience's hand had been forgotten. Thank you all for your contributions this afternoon. Thank you, Claire, for that very inspiring story, both to the ladies and to the guys, and all in a way. I want to say hello to my wife as well, who is to each of you. And next week, let us join in for another wonderful conversation. Same link in case you don't get an alert, it is always the same link. I wish all of us a blessed week. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Dr. Mpeire, for bringing in that interesting perspective. And what kept ringing in my mind is Okwezula, discovering yourself. Of course, as well, pursuing areas you are weak at will drain you. I think we need to identify our strengths. Then I also identify the core competences which we cannot do without. For example, financial literacy, whether you're a scientist, an artist, a vocationalist, if you are not literate financially, you will struggle in life. Thank you all. Shout to my wife who is on the call and each and every one of you. God bless you. Once again, thank God it is Monday. Blessed week.